Scott, the Change Energizer. Scott rejuvenates stalled corporate leaders, sales professionals, and entrepreneurs to focus and take action on goals, priorities, and income-producing activities. Last year, Scott presented 46 keynote and retreat sessions to 221 companies in 7 states. He's passionate about helping frustrated leaders get unstuck and moving forward. He is the president of the Austin chapter of the National Speakers Association. From 2010 to 2015, Scott was the Central Texas Regional Director for BNI, the Business Network International. He took his BNI region of 34 to 45 chapters and to the top 2% international in growth, retention, and referral revenue. That's 36 million annually. He was the top national producer in membership drives with a 70% closing rate. From 2001 to 2003, Scott was the event coordinator at POA, a mega church in central Louisiana. He coordinated the weekly, monthly, and annual events of 3 divisions, 17 departments, and 65 ministries of that 3,500 member congregation. Scott pastored a thriving congregation in Lubbock, Texas for 10 years. Together with his leadership team, they built a 13,000 square foot worship facility on 5 acres in the 90s. He and Carol were married on Thanksgiving Day, 2015 on a cruise ship, Triumph, in Galveston, Texas. They have an incredible blended family of 4 adult daughters and a son and 2 grandsons. Scott loves motorcycle riding in the Texas Hill Country, golf, international travel, live music, and grilling, and competitive challenges. Please welcome our guest speaker, the Change Energizer. And also, I just want to note, we are recording this, and everybody will be sent a copy of the recording. So just be conscious of that. And, you know, if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the group chat, or I know Scott will be answering things as he goes along as well. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much, Beth. Well, man, it's great to be here. And I'm a native Texan. I need to throw that in there. My parents were immigrants from Oklahoma, and but they moved to Abilene, where I was bred and born, raised in Midland, as we talked about earlier, and then traveled the country some. And so I'm glad to be back in Austin and been here for quite a while. And it's just good to meet all of you, hearing where you're from and what you're doing. I really like the idea of so many independent agents that are here today. And I hope that we can share some things with you that'll help in this huge transition time that we've been in, especially since the first of the year. I mean, the pandemic has kind of accelerated some virtual networking and just our virtual lives. So I want to share my screen with you so that we can go over a few slides and talk about some things that have to do with networking. And I like to use the term energizing. You know, as a consultant and a trainer and a speaker, when I think about change and I talk to people about change, I have mixed reactions. You know, some people say, "Oh my God, I don't want to change anything. Just, you know, kind of help me, but don't change anything." But the minute we talk about, let's energize your routine or energize your schedule, now people love that. And so today, that's really what I want to talk about, energizing your virtual networking. I don't know about you, but networking is where 90% of my business comes from. It's people that know me, people that I know them. Very little of my business comes from cold calling. Typically, as I get to know people and people get to know me, they either do business with me or they refer business. And you probably, based on all the years of experience I've heard every one of you mention, I'm sure you have a lot of referral networking going on for you. And right now, oh my word, it's gone virtual. And we got to figure out how to do that. And so over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some of the secrets that we found. And you're going to discover a lot of them are just really common sense in a lot of ways. So virtual is the new norm. I'm president of the National Speakers Association, the Austin chapter, and our speakers have really had to make some pivots, because getting back on stage is not going to happen for quite a while. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not until the first of the year that there's much of anything, and it won't get back to normal until sometime next July or August of 2021. And it's the same for you. You know, we opened up business in Austin, and people started going out, and COVID went off the charts and they shut us back down. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but it's virtual. It's become the new normal. And by the way, I want to applaud every person here, because you have figured it out. I'm meeting a lot of people who are struggling to figure it out, and I applaud you for being on this. So one of the things that I had to do, I mean, when this thing hit and really got obvious back in, you know, the end of January and February, and, you know, by March, it was really critical. I started taking some training, getting some certifications about how to be ready to work virtually. And one of those was from the Barnes Media team. It was a 10-day challenge to be camera ready, virtual certified, so that when I get on a virtual meeting just like this one, I can do it correctly and do it so that I'm not freaking people out. And there's a lot of things that I learned and were a huge help to me over those. It's called the 10-day challenge. It's certainly not 10 full days. It's about a 15-minute lesson every day for 10 days. And then you shoot a short video of yourself, like a minute, and turn it in. And then Mike and Kim critique that. That thing really helped me out. And just to say a few things, like right now, you know, what my background looks like, you know, hopefully it's not too distracting. And the lighting is on the front of me, not on the back of me. So if I had an open window and it was shining behind me, then it would make me dark. You know, if I need to get up and walk away, then I just, you know, stop my video. And, you know, when I stop my video, now you can't see me get up and walk away, so it's not a distraction. And I just click it back on so that now you can see everything just like you did. So there's just a lot of things that we want to learn. My wife is in the next room, and she is working from home, and she is on so many of these Zoom meetings. And oh my word, it is hilarious, some of the things that people do. They don't realize that the whole world is watching them while they're sitting behind their computer. Your camera is on. And, you know, there was, I shouldn't probably go into a bunch of detail, but there's some pretty embarrassing moments that people presented because they forgot their camera was on. So just remember that. You know, you're making an impression. The minute you come on camera, people are looking at you, where you're dressed, where you do your hair, all of that stuff. So just keep that in mind. But it is a new norm. It's going to be here for a while. It's not going away. We will be able to get back to our networking meetings, breakfast, lunches, mixers, happy hours. We will be able to do that, but this is still not going away. People have figured out that this is a great way to meet with people and talk to them. So the more proficient you can be in having these Zoom meetings, whether it's one-on-one or a small group or a large group, the better you get at it, then the better off you're going to be. And it's a little simple thing, like on where we are right now. There's a place where you can chat and you can put things in that chat, but at the end of the meeting, you have a place where you can save that chat. And if you'll do that, then you'll have a lot of the conversations that went in. So let's talk about 5 advantages of a virtual meeting. So the picture that you see is of the Rotary Club. And I was a speaker at the Rotary Club of Austin. I think there were 61 members that were there that day. That's a lot of people. And so I got on, and as a guest first, and then I came back the next week as a speaker so that I could just kind of see what was going on there. So let's talk about some of the advantages of networking or a virtual event. So one of them is their name is on the screen. I mean, can you see that? There's Jennifer Olson and Ann Graham and Donna Howard and Margene Beckham and all of these people. I can see their names. So have you ever been up to a networking event and you wanted to go up and say hi to somebody, but you couldn't remember who they were? Well, you don't have to worry about this. Now you can match a name and a face, and they're there. The other thing is, you're on your own turf. Now, that's a neat thing about a virtual meeting. I'm in my office at home. I'm on my own turf, and the restroom's just around the corner. The fridge is downstairs and around the corner, and I'm familiar with everything that's going on around here. Who's in the house? Who's not in the house? And they are too. And what that does is it makes us more comfortable, and people open up and have better conversations simply because they're on their own turf. The next thing is you can privately, directly chat during the meeting. Now, I know, of course, none of y'all are going to be doing that while I'm talking, but you can do that. You just get on the chat box, and if you see somebody, hey, Donna Howard, I want to send you a message, you reach up there to chat, you scroll down to her name, and then you just send her a private message directly to her, and she can respond back and forth. It's as a matter of fact, you know, I don't want you to get carried away, but feel free to try it. If you hit chat, you can see everybody that's on the call. You just click their name. You can send them a private message. You can communicate with people. It's great. The other thing that's neat about Zoom and about a virtual event is that you can share information. You can share a document. You can share a video, something, maybe a contract, maybe a flyer, maybe a testimony, whatever it is. You can pull that up and share it on your screen so both of you can look at it together and talk about it. It's great. I love that. And then here's something else that's pretty good. Now, it is for me. It is 40 minutes for me to get from here to downtown Austin. And that's a little bit of a drive. With Zoom and virtual, I don't have to drive anywhere. As a matter of fact, on Friday mornings, I attend a thing called ACE, Austin Christian Executives. It's kind of a Bible study for Austin executives. There's about 40 of us that are in that group. But right after that's over, I attend a Toastmasters group. And used to, I would have to drive from where Baylor meets over to T-Works where our Toastmasters meets. And man, that was about a 20-minute drive that I needed to make in 10, maybe 15, depending on who's on the side of the road. And so now I don't have to do any of that. Now I just switch from one screen to the next screen, and I'm there with everybody, and everybody's used to it. So there's some real advantages to virtual networking, and just be aware of them. Take advantage of that. Now, you may be thinking of some other advantages. Anybody have a comment about another advantage that you found for virtual networking?
I'd say it's definitely the engagement. So if you can tell if they're engaged or not, I guess is a better way to put it. But when you know that you've got that, you can seize that opportunity.
That's right. You can, because you see their faces. And on a one-to-one, I mean, nobody just has their name up there. Now, sometimes in a group meeting they might, but in a one-to-one, they're gonna have their face, their camera on. So engagement, that's right. Anybody else think of another advantage to a virtual event?
You can record it.
You can record it. That's right. And now you have it there. I have a coach that's coaching me, and once a month we have a 2-hour session. He records that, and he says so much more than I can get to in 2 hours. And so I can go back and listen to it or watch it and pick it all up. That's exactly right. All right, well, let's keep going here. So networking, oh my word, where is everybody? I mean, I used to go to Starbucks and Panera Bread and some other coffee shops, and I could hang out with people and meet people. Now I drive over there if I do, and there's a sign that says curb service only. I mean, where is everybody? Everybody has gone. Does that mean that they've just gone away? No, it doesn't. But where have they gone? I mean, we just have to figure out, you know, I used to network, and I've got a good friend. I'll tell you more about Artie in a little bit. Artie was one of the last ones to quit networking because he was so accustomed to having happy hours and luncheons and golf meetings and all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, the mayor shut us down, and he had nowhere to go. So let's talk a little bit about that. So 6 virtual networking venues. There's more than that. There's a lot more than that, but here are 6 that I can think of. Now, before I get into those 6, first question we have to ask is, who's your target market? And that's a big question. The answer is not everyone. Anybody with eyes, that's not the answer. Anybody who can breathe, that's not the answer. So who is your target market? Who do you like to do business with? Who is it that is most susceptible to the products or the services that you offer? And one of the ways that, I mean, I have a whole worksheet that I can take people through on this, but really it comes down to a few things. What motivation or what pain does your product and services solve? And when you think about who is going through the pain and the problems that your products and services solve, on my word, right now, I know the financial industry, stock market is up and down, going crazy, and people are trying to decide about that. In about 3 weeks, I'm speaking to a big office of New York Life in Kansas City. It's all going to be done virtually. And Doug was telling me about an opportunity and a product that they offer that is right now it is in the middle of some transition, and they're trying to take advantage of that. So your target market. So what pain? So age group. So what age group are you going after? You know, every age group has a different need and a different story. Are you going after young people, newly married, middle life, getting close to retirement, after retirement? What age group are you going after? Because different ages hang out in different places. And then profession. Is there a specific profession that you like to work with? So I don't know why. I don't know why altogether, but for some reason, financial advisors, insurance agents, bankers, and the trades like me. They resonate with my message and with the way I put it together. And so when I'm going after a target market, I'm going after the financial industry and the trades, because the trades like me. So then it makes it easier for me to know how to network. Now, there may be a particular culture that you're connected to. And boy, that makes a big difference. Every culture has their own language, their own vernacular, their own interest, things that are important to them that when we pay attention to, we gain their trust and their interest. Now, I live in Austin. Austin is a cosmopolitan, metropolitan area. We have pockets of people and cultures all over the city, from around the world, around the country, and around the state. So when somebody says, well, Austin is my target, I'm thinking, oh my word. So you got to be more specific than that. And you want to do the same thing. And when you can begin to really identify that culture that you resonate with and that resonates with you, and you learn to speak their language, and you learn to understand what they like, what their natural responses are to things, then it's like a duck call. And I don't know a better way to say it. A duck call. You know, if you get a duck call and you learn how to use it correctly, then you're going to have ducks that'll show up. And you're not going to have deer. You're not going to have hogs. You're not going to have goats. You're not going to have elk or moose. You're going to have ducks. And when we get clear about what that duck call sounds like, that group of people will be drawn toward you. So talk about it. You know, I was raised out in West Texas, Midland. That's all I ever knew. I pastored for 10 years in Lubbock. And there is a feed yard just outside of Lubbock. You talk about the dust from Africa that blew in. When the wind changes and blows across that feedlot into Lubbock, you can definitely know it's there. But Lubbock has its own culture, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. And learning to resonate with the people that are in your culture is really important. And then special interest groups. There's a lot of special interest groups, and if there are some of those that you really get connected to, can make a big difference. And they can range from medical to just special interest. And I've got a good friend whose child was severely underdeveloped when she was born, and had spinal bifida and some other things. But it has connected him to a whole circle of people that live in that special interest group. And so he has connections there, underlying connections to a very specific and special group. So what's special interest? My mom is a quilter. My mom lived in Alaska for 50 years. And after my dad retired, my mom started quilting. She got good at it. She became a published quilter. And in Alaska, there is a special interest group of quilters. And they are people that are closely knit together. Now, after my dad passed away and she moved down here, they still stay in touch with her because they're so connected. What kind of special interest group are you ignoring? They're out there. And when you win their trust, boy, they'll communicate with you. They'll network with you. So there's all kinds of networking groups, virtual networking groups, business associations. ACEA is one that's here in Austin. Contractors and civil engineers, they have a monthly meeting. And every month they used to get together at a restaurant and have lunch together. Now they meet virtually. These are contractors, civil engineers that move the dirt around Austin. They are very connected about what's happening and what's coming. Chamber of Commerce. There's probably 10 Chamber of Commerce in the Austin area. There's the Austin Chamber of Commerce, the Round Rock Chamber of Commerce, the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, the Leander, the Cedar Park. But then there's also the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the African American Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Chamber of Commerce. I mean, there's more than one. And each of them have very specific targets. TAMA, Turnaround Management Association. It's an association that helps companies that are struggling and need to turn around. Texas Energy Cooperatives, National Property Management Association. Here's what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that there are lots of associations that have a monthly meeting. And now that they can't have it in person, a lot of them are going virtual. Not all of them, but a lot of them are going virtual. So if any of those resonate with you as a group that you'd like to be connected to, then look them up. Find out when their meeting is and plug in. It's a lot easier to get in those meetings now than it used to be. Then there's just Plano networking groups. And there's a lot of good ones. BNI. I mean, I used to run the Central Texas region of BNI, Business Network International. And I wondered when the pandemic hit what they were going to do. I've been out of BNI for about 2 years, and I wondered what they were going to do. And they've gone virtual. All their meetings now are virtual, and they've developed a rhythm. Well, BNI is not the only one out there. There's a lot. You know, these are some local ones that we have around here, but you've got them where you're at too. SABA, South Austin Business Association. Oh my word, man, that's a growing group of people. Used to meet at La Casa restaurant down in South Austin. Now they meet virtually. And because they're meeting virtually, there's a lot more people that are showing up. Metropolitan Breakfast Club is a morning breakfast venue. ACE, Austin Christian Executives, it's one of the ones that I showed you a while ago. Every Friday morning from 7 to 8:30, about, I don't know, 45, 50 of us meet virtually, and we have great connection. Bong, I mean, there's a lot of them. I could just go on and on and on. Whether you use Meetup or you just search in Google according to what your target market is, you can find some networking events. And they're easier to get into than they used to be because now it's virtual and the door is wide open. eWomen Network. eWomen Network is a networking that's all over the country. And we have one in Austin. I've spoken to them several times. They're all around the country. It's usually women-owned businesses or women in business. And if that's a target market for you, then connect with them. And just because it's eWomen Network doesn't mean that men don't show up or that men aren't allowed, because they are. But it's just their focus is about women and being in business. So lots of networking groups out there. We just have to Google them and search them. Now, community service is another category of networking groups. The Rotary Club. Almost every city has a Rotary Club. So the Rotary Club here in Austin has, I don't know how many members they have, but they had 61 to 70 on the 2 calls that I was on. And just an incredible bunch of people. A couple of judges were on it. Former mayors of Austin were on it, movers and shakers. And Tarby Bryant, who is the guy who invited me, who was the program chair, he is on a mission to go and invite as many CEOs, young CEOs, to come and join the Rotary Club to revitalize it. So Rotary Club, it's a great place to connect and meet some fantastic people. Veterans, veterans meet, whether it's from World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, some of the others. And I've got good friends that are Army, Navy. I mean, I live in Austin. And in Austin, there's a big group of Navy people here. One of my best friends was on a submarine, and they still connect from time to time. Air Force, of course, we got a base here, base in San Antonio, and then the Coast Guard. So all of those people have some meetings where they get together and they network, and they're not necessarily business, but they share camaraderie of being veterans. And some are active, many are not, but it's a place to network, place to talk to people. Now there's another area where you can network, and that is masterminds. So when the pandemic hit back in February, I was on a mastermind going through a book, and the book was called The Slight Edge. The year before, we had gone through the book Think and Grow Rich, and there's about this is it right here. The group that you see here, that's my mastermind, and I didn't start it. Dan started it, And it's, I don't know, 8 or 9 of us. And every Thursday morning at 8:30, we meet on Zoom. We used to meet at the restaurant, but when the pandemic hit, we went to Zoom, and we just go page by page through that book, The Slight Edge. So what it does is it creates an enormous amount of camaraderie among us. And so I started one with another group of people and invited them in. And oh my word, I mean, it was amazing. I invited about, I guess, 17 people in. Out of that 17 people, 10 show up regularly, and we're going through that book. And the cool thing is the camaraderie that it has created, the trust that it's created. And now, without really knowing it or trying it, we share business with each other. And sometimes we use each other's services, but it's a mastermind. I started another one. So I'm in 3 or 4 masterminds right now. And the other one was a topic-driven mastermind. And I called it the Post-Pandemic Landscape. And I started it off just simply by saying, you know, when I was raised in Midland, we had tornado shelters. And you could see coming out of the west those big, tall clouds and tornadoes. And when the warnings went off about a tornado, you crawled down into your tornado shelter and shut the door and bolted it. And after the tornado had passed, then you could come out. And when you open that door, you may look around and everything may be gone, or maybe there's a house standing there and trees and everything, and right beside it, another house is completely gone. And I likened that to where we are right now, the pandemic. And I said, let's talk about what we're going to do. Oh my word, I was amazed. Now, I reached out to at least 20 people, some pretty significant movers and shakers around town, and they showed up because they wanted to talk about that kind of stuff. That's networking. That's building relationships and getting to know people. And when people know me, they talk about me. And when people know you, they talk about you and what you do. And that's what building those relationships is all about. Financial services, exit transitions, you can create a mastermind for anything you want to. And let it be a place where people can come in and talk about it. I think it's probably better if it's not around a specific product, but if it's around the scenario, when in your specialty, create those masterminds. Invite your clients, invite people that you know, people that are somehow or another connected some way to the same business, and have a 1-hour discussion. Take it around a book, have a 1-hour discussion, chapter by chapter. I think you're going to be amazed at the response that you get from it. I know what it's doing for me. Okay, so Beth, I wanted to do a breakout about now.
Yes.
So what she's going to do is she's going to send everybody into a breakout room, and I don't know how many people we have on the call right now. Beth, how many do we have?
7 total. So you think 2 rooms?
Yeah, let's do 2 rooms.
Okay, so this is something I'm learning because we learn every time we do a virtual meeting, right, Scott? We're learning something new.
That's right.
And so we're going to put us into virtual meeting rooms, breakout rooms, and we're going to go for 8 minutes, right, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll put you in there for 8 minutes, and here's what I'd like for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what you heard, I'd like for you to discuss among each other some virtual networking venues that you've found, and which ones you like, or maybe something that you heard me talk about that you'd like to get started. So talk about it for 8 minutes among yourselves, and then we'll come back together and see what you came up with.
Just, Scott, I don't think I will go into a room. It's not letting me go into a room, so it's just going to be the 6 of you guys. I don't get to go.
Yeah, that's cool.
You guys have a great time. I'll just be hanging
right.
out here virtually by myself.
All right.
All right. So, and so I'll see you later. Okay.
Hi, Beth.
Hello. Oh, look at you. You're in outer space.
Yeah, I changed my background.
All right. Fancy.
I think there's supposed to be a feature on that breakout room where you, who is the organizer, can go in and join the different
I
rooms.
think I can too. I know. I'm scared to mess with it. I'm very timid.
Just shut down the whole thing, right?
I know, that's my fear, is that like I'll do one thing and the whole thing will like crash.
Yeah, that feature is available, and when you're co-hosting, I think I probably could have done it, but I didn't see the change, so I just stayed with the group that I was in.
Yeah, I think yeah, like I said, I'm learning every time. So what Scott said is, you really need to like every time try different things. And every time I'm on Zoom probably about 4 hours a day, I would say. But every time I'm learning a new trick or, getting more comfortable with it. But you do just have to keep trying new things and playing around with it all the time.
Well, we had a great time in our group, and Charlie talked to us a little bit about what he was doing with putting some lunches together, and now they've gone virtual.
Great.
And so I'd like to hear just take a minute or two, and anybody want to share a comment that something that they found in their breakout group?
Well, we talked about the masterminds as something that we wanted to try because of the opportunity that you would find to engage with people and start to gain their trust over time.
Good, I like that. Charlie, you're going to share what you talked about? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Charlie.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I've always wanted to say that. We host for about 10 years. I've hosted a lunch and learn once a month on some retirement topic. And starting in March, they became Zoom and Learns. And the transition has been good. When we were able to do them live, we have a restaurant that's pretty close, and on Wednesdays they serve fried chicken. I think a lot of people came more to eat than to hear me, but that's okay. They heard me. And we don't try to sell anybody anything. We just educate them on Social Security or IRAs or capturing the gain and different types of topics. I do a lot of them, or I will bring in an expert to do them. The presentation lasts 30 to 40 minutes, and then we bring in a meal. And I have an evaluation form that I ask them to complete. I kind of jokingly tell them if they don't complete the evaluation form, they're not going to get any fried chicken. And on that form, I have picked up some good things, but also there's a place for them to give me introductions to other people, and it's worked. So now that the pandemic has drugged me into the 21st century, we do the Zoom, and we're able to record it. And I now speak to people in California and Indiana and other places of which I would have never done before. So when we're able to go back and do them live, we're going to record them too. So that's what's been working for us.
Charlie, how did you find the extra folks from outside the original circle? So you moved from the restaurant to the online, but
here's what's cool, because Joe asked me the same question, Tim. When I started, I wanted to invite, I don't want 50 people. I want 10 or 12.
yeah.
And what I was going to do was invite my clients of here at Van Dyke Rankin to come, then move to all the clients of Van Dyke Rankin, and then move to the public prospects. Tim, I've never gotten out of my clients because they invite people to come, and it's worked real well. The other thing is that now I will say, I meet with somebody and say, hey, can I put you on an invitation list? If you want to come, come. If you don't, no. And if you want to get taken off, all you got to do is tell me. I'm finally getting some of the CSRs to say, maybe you want to attend one of Charlie's Zoom meetings. And we just go from that. That's how it's done, Tim.
Great, thank you.
So how many people are you getting on those Zoom meetings that you now have switched from lunch that you wanted 10 to 12 to the Zoom?
That's an excellent question. I have gone from averaging, I'd say 15 to about 6. But Kevin, I never recorded before. And now I record, and I send that, would you like the recording? And the last one I did in June, I had 20. And that wanted the recording, and they'll text back and forth with me, et cetera, that kind of thing.
So if you don't mind me asking, Scott, do you mind if I ask questions or?
No, go ahead. We're here for everybody to figure this out.
So, and this might be for both Charlie and for Scott. So when you do that meeting, like, I'm not even sure how I've got mine set up. I have 2 screens. So on one screen, I've got the Brady Bunch boxes, and on the other screen, I've got Scott's presentation. And I know that there's Zoom meetings, and I know there's Zoom webinars. Mm-hmm. So how are you structuring that? Is everyone coming in with the Brady Bunch box, and then you're doing a presentation like we're doing today?
Kevin, this is Charlie. That's what I do, but I control whether they're muted. Can I talk? Muted, and I can do things back and forth from them. I allow them to ask questions, and then at the end, I open up all the mics and get it done. I will say one thing, Kevin, that I've really concentrated on. I've cut them down from about 40 minutes to 20 minutes. And the reason is, when they're in a room with you, they're captive. But when they're sitting at their desk, if they want to get up and leave, they can just do it. So we try to keep it within their attention span.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that is great questions, because the more you do this, the better you'll figure it out. The attention span typically is shorter in Zoom because people lose interest. But the breakout session that we just did is the #1 key to helping maintain attention span. Mm-hmm. And if you have a group come in, the recommendation is that you have 3, not more than 4 people that you put on into a breakout room, and give them about 8 minutes to discuss some specific topic. And that lets them go around the group, and everybody typically gets to, chime in a little bit. But the breakout rooms let there be engagement and feedback. And as the host, you can surf around to those breakout rooms so that you can stick your head in and say hi, and then, continue to let them visit. So they're just some really great things that, as you learn this, can help you. You can also do polling. Mm-hmm. And polling is where you can come up with some questions and put it out there. And you can have 2 or 3 polls. You just need to make those polls ahead of the meeting. You can't make them during the meeting, make them ahead of the meeting. And I prefer personally to do the meeting style of Zoom instead of the webinar style, because I like to read your faces and see what's going on. Don't have to use a slideshow like I'm using.
Well, I think the slideshow is good, but so at what point, how many people would you not use a Zoom meeting versus a Zoom webinar?
Well, some of that will depend a little bit upon your camera setup. and what you've got. If you've got two screens, you know, I'm on a call for the National Speakers Association where we have about 60 people that come on that call, and I get a screen of 25 of them at a time. But I still like the meeting better than I do the webinar, because the webinar, it's very difficult to interact and for them to interact with you. So the meeting view, so I'm about to do one for up in Kansas City for New York Live, and there's supposed to be like 200 people on that Zoom call. And I still prefer the meeting instead of the webinar.
So I mean, what do we see when you're doing the meeting versus, are you doing a meeting or a webinar right now?
This is a meeting.
I'm doing a meeting.
This is a meeting. Yeah.
And how do you do?
Yeah.
Is
I can
it
tell
me
you a
that
little bit, Kevin. I've been on a meeting with over 200 people on it.
really?
Yeah. And it's really the presenter what their presentation, I think that leads that. What Scott's trying to say is like, he's a presenter that prefers a meeting because he wants to see who he's talking to. The meeting allows the people's video up, where a webinar, you won't see everybody, you won't see the Brady Bunch. Essentially, right. You're only going to see the presenters.
So what do we see if you have 200 people on that and you've got the presenter? What do we see? And
yeah.
And did I set this up where I'm seeing two screens, or?
You'll see everybody's.
Well, you tell us. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, you'll
Kevin,
see.
what are you seeing right now?
I've got two screens. I got the Brady Bunch on my right, and I've got your presentation on my left.
That's what you would see on two screens.
Yeah, you'd see 200 little video screens.
Really? And what happens if you don't have two screens? What if somebody's on there? Does anyone only have one screen out there?
Yeah, you can scroll through all the little video screens.
You see a line either on the side or across the top or across the bottom.
Okay.
That'll have probably 4 to 5 people on it.
And Kevin, you can switch it from a gallery like the Brady Bunch to a single, just the person that's speaking will pop up. So there's options where you can change the view.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and move forward. I would love to take you through a little bit more Zoom, but I want to hit a few more networking topics before we run out of time. Thank you everyone for your contribution to all of that. So scrubbing a room. Now I'm in a room here, and there are 35 people in this particular Zoom room that I'm looking at right now. How am I going to scrub that room and connect with those people? So just keep in mind that when I'm talking about networking, I'm not talking about a one-time event. You know, you want to go to these things again and again and again and again and get to know them and let them get to know you and get the feel of what's going on. But as you do, you can still scrub the room. So Kimberly Spate, she wrote a book, and the book's in front of you there. It says, I need to know you. And one of the things that she did was she decided she wanted to meet 100 people in 90 days. It was a 100 people in 90-day challenge. And she did some of it virtually, some of it live. You know, this is before the pandemic hit. But when you're scrubbing a room, one of the things that you want to remember is you can see everybody's name. And so if you just come up with, you know, Scott Carley challenged me, or Kimberly Spate challenged me to meet 100 people and do 100 interviews in 90 days. And when she did it, she had her own motivation for it, but you could do one that just says, I'm taking a short 15-minute interview of pandemic survival stories. How have you survived during the pandemic? And do you mind? And what she found was that just by asking people, do you mind if I interview you about how things are going during the pandemic? Because I'm trying to put some stories together, and I'd like to hear your story. And no, I don't know you very well, and that makes it even better. And she did it, and she just had this incredible success at building her web of people who knew her and that she knew. And this is a simple, easy way to get in the door to talk to somebody. Now, you may use a different topic. You may not say pandemic survival stories. You may say something else. I recommend that you don't necessarily put it around your industry. You may, but that real quickly smells like commission breath, and people will run from it. But if you do it around something that is not, you know, it's not a bait and switch, people will respond to that. And then she just asked them, would you give me 20 minutes on Zoom? And I'll tell you, I've been pleasantly surprised at how many. As a matter of fact, my one-to-ones I have tripled the amount of my one-to-ones because of Zoom and the pandemic. People are so much more responsive to a short conversation. And usually what I set up is a 30-minute conversation. And I use a scheduling link. Now that's my big question. How many of you have a scheduling link? If you have a scheduling link that you use to schedule up people, just raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, got a couple of you there. All right, a few of you. I would highly recommend that you get one. And whatever you decide to use is up to you. The one I use is called Meeting Bird. And that's Meeting Bird is all one word, meetingbird.com. And it's great because what I can do is I go into Meeting Bird and I pick the date, and then I just log what dates and what times I want to be available for calls. And if you, when you hit the link from my Meeting Bird, and what I do is in a conversation on chat, and I'll show you that conversation in just a minute. You know, hey, are you up to a chat on Zoom? And when they respond, all they have to do is hit that Meeting Bird, and it automatically puts them on my calendar at a time that works for me because I've already gone in to put my schedule together. So I do a few in the morning. I do lunches every day except days that I'm speaking or doing something. And then I do a few hours in the afternoon. And if I've got an event going on, then, you know, I take it off the calendar. But then what happens is it's on my terms all the way. I mean, it's great. I love it. So 15-minute, 100 interview challenge. I think if you did that, you'd be amazed at what you would pick up. I do 30-minute catch-up, 60-minute meetings, and Meeting Bird has really helped me. The one that New York Life is using is called Calendly, and it's just another version of the same thing. But I highly recommend. Here's the deal. If you have a schedule, people will line it behind you. If you don't have a schedule, you're going to line it behind them. And I found from years of networking, when I was trying to get somebody to commit to a coffee or a phone call or Zoom, whatever it was, I just had lots of issues. Back and forth on email. This is a good time. It's a bad time. It's a good time. No, I've got to be over here. I'm in the north part of the town. I'm in the south part of the town, all that stuff. And when I set up a scheduler, now I'm in control of it. And people respond so much quicker and so much easier. And on Meeting Bird, you can set it up so it automatically creates the Zoom meeting, sends them an invitation and a reminder with the Zoom link. I mean, it just takes away all the technical issues. So check it out. I recommend that you check it out. All right, so we've talked about the different networking venues and some other things. Well, you and Charlie, I like what you were talking about. You went after your clients and you invited them to your meetings. You have some superheroes that would love to refer you business, and they're your clients and some other people. And if I were to tell you, I mean, most everybody in this call, you've been around for a little while. So for you to come up with your top 125 connections is not going to be a huge challenge because you've got them there. Some people who are just getting started, they say 125, oh my word, I don't have anywhere near that many connections. And I can genuinely relate to that. But over time, you're going to build up a list of 125 connections. And if you will build a strategy that over 90 days, in a 90-day period, you're going to touch these 125 connections, then every 90 days, you'll find that your business will significantly increase because now you're top of mind. So let me show you some categories of these 125 connections. The first one is your inner circle. And I don't have all of these people on speed dial, but who is your inner circle? You know, Elon Musk and Bezos and Mary Bauer, and you know, I'd still like Tom Brady. I'm sorry, I just like the guy. He's a great quarterback, is whatever you want to say. But the inner circle, this is your board of advisors, people you look up to and trust because of a proven track record. And so you need to make sure that you're connecting with them. And Joe, I think you said y'all are going to Las Vegas or some other place. This is an inner circle of advisors that you stay connected to. I think that is really important, very, very helpful. They give you business and they give you personal advice. The next group would be your strategic alliance. And a strategic alliance, you actively share the same client, but you're not in competition with them. And these people have a natural business alliance with you. So these are some of the people that we share the same customer, but we don't compete with each other. And it's easy for them to send me business and easy for me to send them business. So I want to make sure that Joey and Dan and Artie and Michelle and all of those, I want to make sure that every 90 days they're getting a call, a Zoom meeting, something from me. My star networkers. These three people are some of the best networkers I know in the world. Jennifer Davis, man, that girl is a networker. I mean, she meets people, she builds referral revenue. She knows how to find out what you need and help you get it so that you will send her referrals so that she can get. She introduced me to Reagan, and Reagan was in Mary Kay. Reagan's mother was a national Mary Kay director. And as a result of that meeting that came through Jennifer, I probably coached over 100 Mary Kay Cadillac winning professionals around the country. I mean, just incredible through that one person. And Austin Smith, I mean, this guy is in the mortgage industry. He's just an incredible networker. He's young, but he has been hired by a half a dozen different mortgage companies because he is so good at building teams and networking and connecting people together. They are star networkers. And then Artie Burney, he's a hard money lender. Artie's great. He is the best networker. Every morning through the week, Artie's on the phone. And he has not 125, but closer to 200 people that he contacts regularly in a rotation to stay in touch with them. And as a result of it, he's known everywhere in the banking and the financial industry around town. He sends business, he gets business. This guy's great. He loves to golf. We do happy hours, and he'll call me up. Scotty, are you coming down, man? Come on. And then he'll say, now, if I invite you and you miss up to 3 or 4 of my networking events, I'm cutting you off the list for a while. So, I mean, he's fun about that, but he is serious about it. He's great. People who've sent you business, man, go through your list of transactions and see where your business originated. I mean, that is Reagan on the right. Reagan is the one who got me connected with Mary Kay, introduced me to her mother. Her mother introduced me to 13 Mary Kay directors around the country. And then on another Zoom call, to 25. All of them hired me. It was incredible. Danny Smith's in the mortgage industry. These are people who send me business. So I stay in touch with them. As a matter of fact, one of them at the Metropolitan Breakfast Club, when we were able to meet face to face, my brother-in-law owns a winery. And I mean, there are like 75 people in the room at the Breakfast Club when we were still meeting face to face. And I stood up with that bottle of wine and I said, my name's Scott Carley and I'm a speaker, and Danny Smith sent me a referral. And Danny, I want to present you with this bottle of wine. And I got a standing ovation for presenting him a bottle of wine for a referral that he sent to me. Oh my God. So people who sent you business, stay top of mind, stay in touch with them. Great clients, people who are great clients that have done business with you and they like you. You know, Doug Hartman. Doug Hartman was financial advisor for New York Life in Austin. He was one of the partners. He took a branch in Shreveport, Louisiana. He was there for 4 or 5 years, found his dream location in Kansas City, Missouri. That guy has used me again and again and again. And he's who I'm going to Kansas City for in about 3 weeks. Drew Rankin, he runs the Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative up in Connecticut. Man, that guy, he just raves about me all the time on LinkedIn and other places. So find those people who are great clients and feed them information about what you do, new stuff that's going on, and checking in with them. Raving fans. This is interesting. There are some people who've never used your services, but they rave about you. They like you. They have trust in you. They believe in you, and they talk about you in a positive way. Feed those people. Feed them information about great things that are happening, successes that you've had, and not to brag, but to just be excited because they're excited with you. Feed those people because they're talkers, and you want them talking about you and what you do. Okay, so here's the big question. Oh God, what do I say? I mean, when I get on these Zoom meetings or these Zoom calls or whatever I'm doing with these 125 connections, what do I say? It's easy. It's 4 things in particular. Number 1, be interested. We want to be interesting, and nobody cares about that. But when you're interested, that makes a huge difference. Be interested. Hey man, how's it going? And everybody's just going through it during this pandemic. How are you doing? Tell me what's going on, man. And be interested. It's amazing what people will share when they see that you genuinely are interested in what's going on in their life. Be positive. You know, it's important to be sympathetic with people and to recognize what people are going through, but at the same time, find ways to be positive. Be a resource. Artie is a resource to people. And I mean, he's the kind of guy that when he calls, Dan Forbes is the same way. You know, when this pandemic hit, Dan, he's a realtor, and he would say, how can I help you? I mean, do you need toilet paper? I got boxes of it. I mean, when everybody ran out, I went and bought a bunch. And I know that's funny, but be a resource to people and be brief. Be brief. And those 30-minute calls are plenty. That's plenty of time. Be interested, be positive, be a resource, be brief, and even a 15-minute call. You know, when Artie calls me and when I call others, I'm not going to get on the call for an hour. Sometimes not even 30 minutes, 15 minutes just to check in. And people know, you know, they were thinking about me. Another thing that you can also do is update people. Update them on something that's going on, that's happening. This is a great way just to maybe update something about their situation or update something about you. People do like updates. So I know through this last part, I really buzzed through a lot of stuff because, you know, I'm like an F-16 coming into an aircraft carrier and I got to stop. And so I know I did. But the virtual is the new norm. It's not going away. COVID-19 accelerated us into this new dimension of communication and networking. And the people like you, I mean, I'm impressed with every person on this call because you're here and that you're working the system. You are going to be so far ahead of people who are burying their heads in the sand, crossing their arms and saying, I'll wait it out. Please don't be that way. I mean, this is it. It is not going away. So I would love to hear from you. I think I have my phone number up here somewhere. Is that right? Yeah, there it is. I would love to hear from you. Just text me. I don't mind sharing videos with you about other stuff, time management, networking. But I do want to take a minute. Beth, do we have a few minutes here for Q&A?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely have about 4 or 5 minutes. And I just put your email address in the chat if people want to take note of that, and they to email you. And I'll put my direct email too in the chat if people will have questions for me about any of about this or anything else at NAFA.
Great. My whole team, we would love to hear from you. So if you have some comments that you want to make, questions that you want to ask, I brought my whole team in with me, and they're going to help me today.
There's lots of hard workers with him.
Wow.
Definitely.
I have a question. This is Charlie. What if the 5 of us that are in the business formed our own mastermind group? Would you be willing to do that?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking the other 4.
The guys that are there, you guys that have joined the this group today, if you guys wanted to do a mastermind.
I'd be willing.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm in.
Would it be okay if Beth sent me your email and we set it up that way?
Yes.
Perfect.
All right.
I
can
think
do that,
that'd be a great
Charlie. I
idea.
can send you the contact information. I can definitely share that. And you want to coordinate, Charlie, that's great.
That'd be fine. I appreciate it. I think we can help each other.
Perfect. And keep this networking going. I love that. Yeah,
Yes.
that's great. Wonderful.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? If I can't answer them, then, you know, he can answer them. Oh, he's leaving.
Well, I've got one question. What does in these virtual networking, what does that look like? How do you connect one-on-one? Do they do breakout rooms where they put people to talk and that type of thing, or?
So what
Like,
I do, that's a great question. There's a lot of them that do have breakout rooms who are, you know, have figured it out and they're learning how it works. And that just gives you a little smaller scenario. But just as you're looking at all the names on the screen, go into the chat. And in the chat, you can send a message to them specifically. So like right now, when I pull up chat, you know, down here at the bottom, it says everyone, but then it says Kevin, Charlie, John, Joe, Timothy. I can send any one of you a private message that says, you know, where is it here? Hey, Kevin, I'll send one right now.
Yeah, and just
so I just sent you an invitation. Are you up for a virtual chat? And I just start talking to you.
great. And also, Kevin, so you know, we're going to plan a kind of Zoom 101 for next month. I don't know exactly the day or time off the top of my head. And it'll probably be a little bit basic. We're going to start off probably a little bit basic, but we'll have the person who's doing it will be able to answer a lot of questions about Zoom, more than I can, I know that, and be able to do that. So be on the lookout for information about that. And things to help people, because I do feel like we're all using it so much that we need to just get used to it, but and be able to do it. It'll be very informational for everybody, I think, to get
Kevin, a lot of times when I go around the room, I don't do it for every meeting, but I go around the room and I'll just say, hey, good morning. 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 How was your week? Hey, what's going on? And just chat with them. And about half of them will respond. And so I'll just, just chat with them. And then eventually they're gonna, when you say, hey, let's do a Zoom meeting. Are you up to a Zoom meeting? I'd like to find out more about you. Just take it easy.
How did you do the video?
So the video is it's really a fun thing. I'll stop it now that
It's
y'all have
cool.
a chance to look
Very
at it.
cool.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
cool.
you. I wanted somebody, I saw this on the Tonight Show. And so I asked a buddy of mine, one of my networking buddies, how do you do that? And because he did it. And so the way you do it is like right now, you see my background. So I just get up and I leave. And then I turn it on record and I come back in and I'm just right here. And so, I can look at Scott and say something to him and I just hang out for a minute and I just record it. And then I walk away. And then I stop the recording and then I come back in, and on your virtual settings, on your camera setting, you can choose a virtual background that can either be a picture or a video. And what you're seeing is a video background. And it will continue to loop as long as I let it run. And I've got 5 or 6 of them. It doesn't take very long to do it. The first few times that I did it, I mean, I was just like right here and let's see which one. Let's see. Maybe I did this one. I think maybe this was my first one. I did that and I'm just talking to somebody and they went, oh my God, how did you do that? Scott, is that your brother? But what it does is it engages people and gives them something to do to laugh about. And when they laugh, of course, there's my branding too. He's got my cup, the Change Energizer. Just a little subtle branding there.
That was very good. That was very good.
It was good. Yes.
Well, you're welcome. I like to have fun with it. And then, of course, I can, just go to the beach and hang out. So there's just a lot of fun things that you can play with. Just be careful you don't get too serious or too cheesy. That's all. Well, hey, listen, I have really enjoyed hanging out with y'all today. Y'all have been an incredibly attentive and receptive group. Beth, thank you so much for putting all this together. I know you have a real heart and a passion for the insurance and financial advisors of Texas, and I applaud all the work that you're trying to do. Guys, gals, spread the word. This is what I do, and I'd love to help people.
Thank
Well,
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank all of you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. I love seeing your faces, and until we can meet again in person or mask to mask, whatever it takes to get us all together again. But I hope you guys keep checking our calendar of events, and we see you again. And definitely keep us updated. You have my email there in the chat. Keep me updated on what you guys are doing locally. I'd love to hear your story, Charlie, about what you're doing. That's a fantastic story of how you're continuing your events and everything. And so
yeah,
I think that
Bev,
is a fantastic example.
If I can interrupt just one quick thing. If you don't mind, guys, please send your testimonies of what you're doing. Send that to her. Mm-hmm. And also, if you don't mind, send to her or to me your feedback from what you heard today. That would be invaluable to me. So if you would send that to her or send it to me, either one, I think she gave you my email address. Send it out. That would be a big help to everybody.
I got to say this. You give a bottle of wine for a referral?
I sure will. What, you got a referral?
No. I give Bluebell ice cream.
Oh, come on. I'll take that.
You're in Brenham. That's right.
Yes, I'll take that.
Okay.
Pecan crunch. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, thank you guys so much for spending this morning with us, and we hope you have a wonderful afternoon and a great long weekend, hopefully, too.
Thank you.
All right. Hope to see you again.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Care,
Scott.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.